Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Awakening Orbs, one of the hardest material to obtain in the games. I'm going to show you pretty much every method you could have to obtain these pieces or these orbs, so that way you could work to your fullest in obtaining them and possibly get them even quicker, hopefully quicker at least. So without further ado, let's actually get into this video on where to actually get them. Okay, so the first place I would like to start off with is the item exchange. The item exchange, starting off with our recycled metals, offer Awakening Orb pieces. Now the issue with this is they're pretty dang expensive in the recycled metals. As we all know, selling an SSR is actually only 10 of these metals, and then selling an SR is literally one of these metals. So if I were to go right here, you can see that it changes from 0 to 10, literally that much. And in here, it's 200 for a piece. A piece you need to make 10 of, or you need to have 10 of, to actually make an Awakening Orb, and it takes 200 a piece. So that's pretty dang expensive, and usually in most cases not worth it whatsoever. It's more of like a last resort decision, to be fairly honest, over everything else. So it's something I can't really recommend in the recycle metals, but it is here as an option, and that's as far as I can go. There's also like tickets that are way better too, like the Blue Knight. They cost 27 guarantee, but you know, an option. Okay, so the second place is the Grand Metals. Now, this only is for people who haven't obtained their Awakening Orb yet. They offer a full Awakening Orb only one time. There's no timer, no reset whatsoever. You can only obtain this full Awakening Orb once in the Grand Metals. That's right, these brown metals offer them for 1,500. So you could get your Awakening Orb, like a full Awakening Orb, for 1,500 in the Grand Metals, but I believe it's only once. After that, you can't obtain it anymore. There's no timers, there's no resets, there's none of that stuff. So that's pretty much it as soon as you obtain that Awakening Orb there, and that's all it's got for you. That's all, folks. Okay, so the next way is the lemon badges. Lemon badges are something you could really only obtain after RGB is over. After RGB is over, they have guild tournaments or guild grand tournaments. You're earning 50 per a day without really trying to increase or decrease. The only way you can increase or decrease without being a part of the tournament itself and getting farther in the tournament than anybody else is literally betting against guilds. If you win the bet, your cookies come back literally, I think, twice the amount. So if you throw in like 100, I think it's 200 or something like that. But if you throw it in and you lose the bet, your cookies will be gone forever. So that's pretty much the only way you can increase the amount of cookies you obtain per a day, because you only obtain 50 per day until the grand tournament is over, and that's literally it. It's literally it for the lemon cookies. But anyways, I will have a separate video, and I'll like have a link below talking about this video, because I already made this video. But I would choose the Colosseum metals and the Mobius metals over the Awakening Orb pieces. First of all, the Colosseum and Mobius metals can only be obtained in the Colosseum and Mobius event. Awakening Orb pieces can be obtained outside of just one area. Like, these are the only two places. Like, Colosseum and Mobius can only be obtained in Colosseum and Mobius and here, and that's literally it. Awakening Orb pieces have more places you can obtain them. It is a good price in here, and if you want to go for Awakening Orb pieces, you can. But again, I'll have a link below talking about Gravita gear, because that's the whole purpose, and even going for the Mobius and the Colosseum metals is to awaken your armor or weapons in the first place. So I go for those personally if I were you. If you want to go for the Awakening Orbs, that's completely fine. Not a bad deal at all for at least a piece, to be fairly honest. But yeah, it's in here as another option as well. Okay, so the next ways are actually in quests, but they're not exactly quests. Like, they're not something you could, I wouldn't say do, well, yeah, pretty much do every time. Like, they have timers, to be fairly honest, but they're around. Okay, so the first one is the United Offenses. They have like a reset every week, I think. So there's like different United Offenses, and this is a pain to actually do, and I don't really like, it's something that's not really worth your time to be doing at all. But for the last reward prestige, they offer Awakening Orb piece, so perhaps you're close to that, or perhaps you're just one Awakening Orb off to getting all types of different like tiers of gear score, something like that. They offer it in this ladder reward right here. It's the last reward, but it's in here as an option as well if you're interested in that as well. They also offer them in events occasionally. Thankfully, they have an event that's so freaking good. Like, this is the best event I've seen in ever playing this game, and I've nearly played this game for a year. Literally the best event I've ever seen. They offer overall rewards. They offer team rewards, prestige ladder rewards, event missions, that means missions per day, and item exchange rewards. Pretty much everything an event could do to offer you better stuff, they literally do in this event. Literally every aspect or prospect, except for probably like the keys to boost prestige or something like that, which I don't think they need to, because that follows more of a pay to win procedure. So they offer prestige for ladder rewards regardless of whether you get keys or not, and they don't offer a bad amount either. So this is one of the most friendliest, awesomest prosperity give back for like events that a team has ever done, I've ever seen in playing this game ever. Like, this stuff's amazing. There's so much they have to offer. You would literally be missing out on such a great opportunity if you skip this event, because I don't think they're coming out with this event again, at least until next year or something like that. So definitely that type of event's pretty dang rare. Usually they don't have Awakening Orbs in events or Awakening Orb pieces at all, to be fairly honest. Occasionally they do, in occasional events. They offer them, I think, in collab events more. Not guaranteed to be in collab events, but they do have them in there, I think, with the more successful rates than they would not. But yeah, Awakening Orb and Awakening Orb pieces will occasionally appear in events and what's so not. Like this one right here doesn't have any. In fact, you'll be even lucky to get a ether droplet of ether, to be fairly honest. So that's another way. Okay, so the next way you can actually obtain Awakening Orb and Awakening Orb pieces, this isn't actually a way, but this is a good substitute to like doing this itself, is the monster spawn right here. Guarantees a monster with the potential unlock twice for a really cheap price. So pretty much you get to skip the idea of having to use 2 orbs and 2 monsters that are like the cost or the exact same, well, the exact same cost, or pretty much the same monster. Pretty much the monsters you use for Awakening material overall and all that funky jazz for a really cheap price, for a really freaking cheap price. Now they have a chance to not be your stats, and then they might not be useful at all to you. That is fine, because even though you might have to infuse them to one of your other monsters, which will cost orbs, you don't have to use those material or the monster materials that you loved. Like, you like other monsters that you might have, and you might be thinking of sacrificing them. You don't want to, but you might be thinking of it. If you have like a monster like this, like you grab a monster that has bad stats like this, instead of doing that, you could literally throw that monster into this, and it will cost the same Awakening Orbs as making a 3-pot, but you only have to do it with one monster. So it's completely awesome spawn, to be fairly honest. Even if you don't get the monster you want, that'll help your gear score wise, because it's going to be awakened twice. You could always use it as fodder for another monster, to be fairly honest, because you only have to use one monster. Like, if you were to throw this on as Awakening material to another monster, it will already be 3-pot, and usually it takes only 3 pots to get the complete stat increase. So you don't gotta worry about that at that point, unless you really want the defense, which really isn't worth it, to be fairly honest, at all. Especially how like updating this game usually is. They always have like new monsters, new stuff coming out, and all that funky jazz. So it's not really worth your time, to be fairly honest, doing that. But they do have that as an option, and that is your choice if you want to do that at all. Okay, so the next way, which I don't really recommend, is in the Treasure and Divine Grace spawn. Sometimes when you go for the chest, they have droplets of ether Awakening Orbs here. Now when you do the chest, you are very likely to get drops of ether than Awakening Orbs themselves, so keep that in mind. Awakening Orbs have low rates, and in the exchange as well, they have an option where you can actually buy Awakening Orb pieces. As you see, it works the same way as the metal exchange. It costs a ridiculous amount, and they only have 3 in there. It takes 10 to make a full Awakening Orb piece. Now, if this was not just 1, but if this was like 3 or 4 Awakening Orb pieces for 200 treasure medals, I'd definitely say it's worth it, but for 1, it's absolutely not. It'll literally take around 30 to 60 gems to get 1 Awakening Orb piece from a treasure spawn, and is it worth it, to be fairly honest? No, it's not worth it at all, to be fairly honest, like whatsoever. I do not recommend doing that ever in the treasure spawn. Okay, so I don't have it here, but right above the special spawn. Special spawn offers Awakening Orbs, first time half off, 15 gems for 1 full Awakening Orb, and then 30 gems for another Awakening Orb. Very good deal, highly recommended. One of the best deals or best ways to obtain Awakening Orbs is these special spawns, so you definitely don't want to miss them. You definitely want to go for them if you can. They allow you to obtain Awakening Orbs for such a cheap cost, it's ridiculous. Okay, so that's pretty much it for spawns. The last thing we have is the recommended packs. We have two types of recommended packs that have Awakening Orb or Awakening Orb pieces. The first one, I don't have it here, and I'm not going to put it here at all because I don't recommend it whatsoever, is the Ether and Awakening pack. When it comes to the Ether Awakening pack, you want to scratch off the Awakening because it's an Ether pack, to be fairly honest. It's an Ether pack and some. That's pretty much what it's defined as, to be fairly honest. The name doesn't like correlate with what I just said there, but pretty much how it works is look at these recommended packs right here for the potential unlocking. No matter which price you see, it is literally 5 orbs until you hit to 10. Once you hit to $10, it's literally 1 Awakening Orb for $10, which compared to the pack that I'm about to talk about isn't bad. Because when it comes to the Awakening and Infusion or Ether pack, literally for $74, you're only getting 1 Awakening Orb and 7 Awakening Orb pieces. For $37, you're only getting 5 Awakening Orb pieces. In here, you're getting so much more of a discount if you're just going towards Awakening Orbs. It's ridiculous. Like, if you want Awakening Orbs, I highly recommend this pack over any other pack if you're doing it just for Awakening Orbs overall, because you're getting way more of a discount than any of that other garbage that they throw out there that they call Awakening Orb packs, but really aren't at all, to be fairly honest. So those are the ways you can obtain Awakening Orb pieces and Awakening Orbs in total. I hope this helped out, and I will see you in the next video. Show them what you're made of and show them your new Awakening tier and your new gear score that you have obtained. This is the Azarath. I'm out. Peace.